ASEAN steps up drive towards a digital economy framework agreement. US slams Israel over West Bank annexation plan. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. This is World Today. I'm Mohana Priya. ASEAN is confident of clearing an actionable path towards a timely conclusion of the ASEAN Digital Economy Framework Agreement, DEFA, by next year. It will reaffirm the region's role in shaping the global digital economy. Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz said ASEAN aims to substantially conclude the DEFA negotiations this year and have it signed in 2026.
Is to substantially conclude. What we mean by substantially conclude is to conclude 70% of the negotiation.
So as for now, it's 70%?
More than 70%.
He said this after chairing the ASEAN Economic Community Council special session on DEFA. The minister said the session provides a timely platform for member states to take stock of the progress made in the deal negotiations and to deliberate on two critical issues that require policy guidance. The issues are the treatment of customs duties on electronic transmissions and the application of financial services commitments with respect to the location of computing facilities. US President Donald Trump has issued a stark warning to Israel of annexing the West Bank, as visiting Secretary of State Marco Rubio warned that such steps could endanger the plan to end the Gaza war. Israeli lawmakers on Wednesday advanced a bill paving the way for West Bank annexation. Trump claimed that the annexation would not happen because he gave his word to the Arab countries. He added Israel would lose all of its support from the US if the annexation happens.
The West Bank is, don't worry about the West Bank. Israel's not going to do anything with the West Bank, okay? Don't worry about it. Is that your question? They're not going to do anything with the West Bank. Don't worry about it.
Rubio, one of a string of top US officials to visit Israel in recent days, has warned before his arrival that the annexation moves are threatening the fragile ceasefire in Gaza. Following the vote, he said the West Bank is not going to be annexed by Israel, and this will continue to be the policy of the Trump administration. Arab and Muslim countries have warned that annexation of the West Bank is a red line. In a joint statement carried by Saudi state media, more than a dozen such states, including Saudi Arabia, Jordan and Turkey, condemned the Israeli parliament's vote. Meanwhile, delegations from Hamas and its longtime rival Fatah met in Cairo to discuss the second phase of the US-backed Gaza ceasefire plan. A source said the meeting discussed the current situation and issues related to the second phase of the proposed ceasefire in Gaza. He added both sides agreed to continue the discussions in the coming period and to work on organizing the Palestinian internal front in the face of the challenges posed by Israel. Hamas and Fatah have a history of deep political rivalry, which flared into fighting for a time after a 2006 election. Egypt's state-linked Al Kahira News reported that the talks covered the national scene in general and arrangements after ending the war in the Gaza Strip. Egypt, a long-time mediator in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, hosted the meeting as part of a wider push to build consensus around the long-term ceasefire plan. Alongside the Hamas-Fatah talks, Egypt's intelligence chief Hassan Rashad met with senior officials from key Palestinian factions. They included the Democratic Front for the Liberation of Palestine and the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. And on a related note, the World Health Organization said there had been little improvement in the amount of aid going into Gaza since the ceasefire took hold. Its chief, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, noted that there is no observable reduction in hunger.
On the daily entry, the tracks, the number that's entering now is between 200 to 300 per day compared to the 600 target. And even from the 200 to 300 that's entering Gaza, a good number of the trucks are commercial, and many people don't afford to buy. So that also reduces the beneficiary size. So that's why the dent in hunger, you can't even talk about it at this time.
He said although the flow of aid has increased, it is still only a fraction of what is needed. Tedros also warned that the total cost for rebuilding the Gaza health system will be at least $7 billion. He noted there are no fully functioning hospitals in Gaza and there are critical shortages of essential medicines, equipment and health workers. He urged more countries to step up to receive patients from Gaza for specialized care. He also called on Israel to allow all crossings to be opened, to allow more patients to be treated in Egypt and to enable the scale-up of aid. EU leaders have tasked the European Commission to move ahead with options for funding Ukraine for 2 more years, leaving the door open for a loan using frozen Russian assets. In broadly worded conclusions adopted after talks in Brussels, EU leaders stopped short of green-lighting plans for the €140 billion reparations loan. They pushed that crunch decision to December. But diplomats said the text was a step towards a potential agreement, though it was watered down in the face of strong objections from Belgium. The summit conclusions, adopted by all member states with the exception of Hungary, did not mention the loan directly. Instead, they invite the Commission to present options for financial support as soon as possible.
We had a good discussion on the reparations loan to be financed with immobilized Russian assets, and it allowed us to identify points we still need to clarify, and then indeed we will come back with the different options that we will develop. Let me underline again, we will always respect European and international law while we are taking this work forward that we've just described.
The EU froze some €200 billion of Russian central bank assets after Moscow's tanks rolled into Ukraine. The European Commission has proposed using the funds to provide a huge loan to Kiev. President Vladimir Putin said Russia will never bow to U.S. pressure, but conceded new sanctions could cause some economic pain. He said this as China and India were reported to be scaling back Russian oil imports after Washington targeted Moscow's 2 largest producers. Putin noted that U.S. sanctions are an unfriendly act and will have certain consequences, but they will not significantly affect Russia's economic well-being.
Это, конечно, попытка оказать давление на Россию. Но ни одна уважающая себя страна и ни один уважающий себя народ никогда ничего не решает под давлением. И, безусловно, Россия имеет такую привилегию чувствовать себя и считать себя в этом списке уважающих себя стран и народов.
Putin said breaking the balance in the global energy markets could lead to a hike in prices that would be uncomfortable for countries such as the U.S. The U.S. on Wednesday imposed sanctions on Rosneft and Lukoil, as well as nearly 3 dozen of their subsidiaries. The Trump administration was aiming to increase pressure on the Kremlin to negotiate an end to its war against Ukraine. The EU separately also agreed to a phased ban on the import of Russian liquefied natural gas. Colombia's president has ramped up denunciations of Donald Trump's anti-drug airstrikes and swatted aside U.S. threats to freeze hundreds of millions of dollars in aid. Gustavo Petro accused Trump of carrying out extrajudicial executions that violate international law by striking alleged drug trafficking boats.
Estados Unidos en este tipo de acciones está cometiendo ejecuciones extrajudiciales. Sea que los lancheros sean culpables de llevar cocaína, sea que no lo sean, en ambas circunstancias hay un uso desproporcionado de la fuerza que es castigado por el derecho internacional humanitario.
Colombia has publicly demanded that Washington halt the attacks, infuriating Trump, who has branded Petro as a drug trafficker. As retribution, Trump announced an end to hundreds of millions of dollars of U.S. aid to Colombia and threatened tariffs on Colombian goods. Petro dismissed the impact of aid cuts, saying the cash goes to fund U.S. non-governmental groups and to buy U.S. arms. He also lashed out at Trump's September decision to put Colombia on a list of countries classified as not helping in the drug war. He insisted Colombia is successfully countering cartels despite cocaine production and exports hitting record levels. Still ahead, NBA stars among dozens arrested in illegal gambling cases. You're watching World Today. NBA head coach Chauncey Billups of the Portland Trail Blazers and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier were arrested for alleged involvement in illegal gambling on a mind-boggling scale. U.S. President Donald Trump's administration has sounded the alarm over potential turmoil at airports as the government shutdown threatens to drag into November. It warned of ruined holiday plans for millions of Americans.
It's mind-boggling. It's not hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars. It's not tens of thousands of dollars. It's not even millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in fraud and theft and robbery across a multi-year investigation.
Nearly 700 foreigners have fled Myanmar and crossed into Thailand following a military operation against the Chinese-backed KK Park, a notorious cybercrime compound. Thailand has detained 677 people, including 618 men and 59 women, after they crossed the border into Tak province. Myanmar's military has taken control of KK Park and is inspecting the area, driving a large number of people into Thailand. The foreigners are now undergoing legal procedures and screening. Thai authorities have also made additional detention facilities available in case existing spaces become insufficient. The group consists primarily of individuals from India and China, with smaller numbers from Vietnam, Pakistan, Indonesia, and several other countries. The Thai army said it is working closely with local security agencies to maintain order along the Thai-Myanmar border. Myanmar's KK Park is a notorious enclave known to international law enforcement and diplomats for its involvement in cyber scams. The International Criminal Court, ICC, has rejected claims it is not competent to judge the Philippines' former President Rodrigo Duterte, who is accused of crimes against humanity. Duterte's defense last May contested the court's right to judge the 80-year-old former head of state, saying the Asian country had withdrawn from the court's jurisdiction. However, the ICC said it found that the court can exercise its jurisdiction in the case over the crimes alleged against Duterte that were committed in the Philippines while it was a state party. Duterte faces 3 charges of crimes against humanity for his involvement in killings committed as part of his war on drugs, which allegedly claimed thousands of lives. He was arrested in Manila in March, transferred to the Netherlands, and has been held since in the ICC's detention center in The Hague. NBA head coach Chauncey Billups of the Portland Trail Blazers and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier were arrested for alleged involvement in illegal gambling on a mind-boggling scale. FBI Director Kash Patel said Billups was arrested in connection with rigged illegal poker games tied to mafia crime families. Meanwhile, Rozier and a former NBA player and assistant coach Damon Jones were among 6 people arrested in a sports betting case.
And the fraud is mind-boggling. It's not hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars. It's not tens of thousands of dollars. It's not even millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in fraud and theft and robbery across a multi-year investigation.
Billups was one of more than 30 people indicted for alleged involvement in a nationwide scheme to rig illegal poker games that used high-tech cheating technology. Rozier and Jones allegedly participated in one of the most brazen sports corruption schemes since online sports betting became widely legalized in the U.S. It was described as an insider sports betting conspiracy that exploited confidential information about National Basketball Association athletes and teams. The NBA said Billups and Rozier were placed on immediate leave following their arrests. U.S. President Donald Trump's administration has sounded the alarm over potential turmoil at airports as the government shutdown threatens to drag into November. It warned of ruined holiday plans for millions of Americans. With the standoff in Congress over healthcare spending now in its 4th week, Trump Republicans and the opposition Democrats are facing increasing pressure to end a crisis that has crippled public services. More than 60,000 air traffic controllers and Transportation Security Administration officers are working without pay. The White House warned that increasing absenteeism could mean chaos at check-in lines.
The Democrat shutdown is also causing severe impacts at airports across the country. In one single day this week, the FAA had to issue ground stops impacting flights at Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport and Hobby Airport. 13,000 air traffic controllers who ensure that we all fly safely are continuing to work without pay.
After weeks of failed daily votes on a House-passed resolution to reopen the government, the Senate also rejected a bill yesterday to guarantee pay for troops and some federal employees who have been working for nothing. Now, inflation in Japan accelerated last month in a blow to new Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi. Shigeru Ishiba, Takaichi's predecessor, survived barely a year in office, with voters hammering the ruling party in elections, in part because of rising prices. Data released by the Internal Affairs Ministry showed the rate of inflation accelerating to 2.9% in September from 2.7% the previous month. Excluding volatile fresh food prices, the rate also rose to 2.9% from 2.7%. Without fresh fruit and also energy, inflation eased to 3% from 3.3%. Rice prices in September were up 48.6% year-on-year. This, however, represents an easing from recent months. In June, the prices were up around 100%, and in July, around 90%. Takaichi said immediately after becoming Japan's first woman premier on Tuesday that tackling inflation is a priority and instructed her cabinet to draw up new measures. Takaichi has long advocated for more government spending and easy monetary policy to spur growth. Her appointment has boosted Japan's stock market to record highs. Since taking office, however, she has said monetary policy decisions are left to the central bank, the Bank of Japan. Coming up in sports, 7 Malaysian pairs power into French Open quarters.
Bersihkan penapis penghawa dingin dan tetapkan 24 darjah Celsius untuk lebih jimat.
National mixed doubles shuttlers Goh Soon Huat and Siobhan Jamie Lai powered their way into the quarterfinals of the French Open after an easy win over a Scottish pair. This is the Malaysian pair's third victory against their rivals in as many encounters. The world number 9 pair took just 27 minutes to beat Alexander Dunn and Julie McPherson of Scotland 21-13, 21-10 in the second round match played at the Glass Arena in Cesson-sur-Vienne, France. In the quarterfinals, they will take on Feng Yanji and Huang Dongping of China. At the same venue, world mixed doubles champions Cheng Tangji and To Yi-wei fulfilled their prediction to advance to the quarterfinals after defeating Taiwanese pair Yi Hongwei and Nicole Gonzalez-Chan. The fourth seeds of the tournament were not given an easy path when they had to play 3 sets before winning 22-20, 17-21, 22-20 in 72 minutes. Adding to the country's strong showing, Goh Zhifei and Nur Izzuddin Rumzani staged a spirited comeback to beat Taiwanese pair Li Zhehui and Yang Po Xuan 18-21, 23-21, 21-14. Meanwhile, Aaron Chia and So Woo Yik displayed composure to win against their compatriots Ong Yu Sin and Teo Yi Yi 21-10, 24-22. In the meantime, Wan Arif Wan Junaidi and Yap Roy King continued their campaign with straight sets win over China's Shi Haonan and Zheng Weihan 21-12, 21-17. National women's doubles shuttlers Pearly Tan and Tina were made to sweat by China's Bao Lijing and Zhang Yuxian before prevailing 22-20, 21-15 in 46 minutes to enter the quarterfinals. The 2025 Tun Abdul Razak Cup tournament, which concluded on the 11th of October, brought good news for 8 young players who caught the attention of national men's hockey team head coach Sarjit Singh, earning them a call-up to the national training camp. The Malaysian Hockey Confederation in a statement said that 6 of the players called up are around 20 years old, while the other 2 are aged 23 and 26 respectively. They will begin training with the national squad starting Monday at the National Hockey Stadium in Bukit Jalil. Sarjit said the 8 selected players stood out in terms of technical skills, fitness level, discipline and long-term potential to fill positions in the main squad. He said the current centralized training will focus on helping the young players adapt to the intensive training tempo and the playing system at the international level. Sarjit said if the players can demonstrate good quality and attitude, their chances of being listed for the Sultan Azlan Shah Cup are bright. The centralized training is part of the national hockey squad's preparations ahead of 2 major tournaments, the Sultan Azlan Shah Cup from 23rd to 30th November, followed by Thailand SEA Games from the 9th to 20th December. Al Ahly grabbed their 3rd Saudi Pro League win of the season following a 1-0 victory away to Al Najma. Faraz Al-Brikan tapped in what proved to be the winner in the 34th minute, while hosts defender Nasir Al-Khalil had his header from a free kick ruled out for offside just before the break. Al-Ahly thought what they had doubled their lead at the beginning of the second half, but Frank Cassie also had his header ruled out for offside in the build-up. Unbeaten Al Ahly climbed to 4th on 12 points in the league standings with a record of 3 wins and as many draws, while Al Najma remained rooted to the bottom following a 6th consecutive loss to start their campaign. Lionel Messi has extended his contract with MLS side Inter Miami to 2028, a boost for the North American League as the Argentine great keeps his career going. The 8 times Ballon d'Or winner had previously said Inter Miami would be his last club. However, the 38-year-old has given no hint as to his possible retirement, saying that age would not be a factor. The 2022 World Cup winner led the league with 29 goals this season as Inter Miami finished third in the Eastern Conference. Messi was named among the 5 finalists for the league's MVP award. Messi sparked fresh interest in the league when he first signed in 2023 in a critical moment for the sport in North America, with Canada, Mexico and the US set to host the World Cup next year. Miami's valuation has doubled since 2022 to $1.2 billion, according to Forbes, which named them the second most valuable team in MLS earlier this year. The notion of Messi playing 2 or 3 more seasons certainly would serve as a boost to ticket sales at the stadium the team has been building near Miami International Airport. Thailand's Sarit Suwarnarut produced a scintillating 8 under par 64 to take the first-round lead at the International Series Philippines, setting an early benchmark at Star Alina Golf and Country Club. The 26-year-old from Bangkok carded 9 birdies and 1 bogey in a composed but aggressive display that left him 1 shot clear of Japan's Kazuki Higa. Former world number 1 Dustin Johnson followed 2 strokes further back after a 67. Nicknamed safe for his calm demeanour, Suwarnapurut was anything but conservative, continuing the big hitting form that brought him 2 Asian Tour victories, the 2022 BNI Indonesia Masters and the 2023 Volvo China Open, which he won by 6 shots. After a difficult stretch earlier this year, Suwarnarut said a week-long family break in Japan helped him reset. He also returned to the putter he used during his Indonesia triumph, which again proved decisive on Star Alina's slick greens. Meanwhile, Higa carded a 7 under 65 to stay close, while Johnson posted a 5 under 67 in a round featuring 9 birdies, offset by 2 bogeys and a double bogey on the 15th hole. Further down on the leaderboard, Carl Corpus, Enrico Gallardo and Keanu Johns were at level par 72. The 2026 Men's Tour de France will, for a second year, include a final stage up Paris Montmartre Hill. Organisers said it will follow 2 grueling Alpe d'Huez summit finishes, promising a route to keep up the suspense to the very end. After starting in Barcelona on the 4th of July, the 113th edition of cycling's biggest race will on 26 July culminate in a spectacular climb through Montmartre's cobbled Rue Lepic, a feature first introduced this year and won by Belgium's Wout van Aert. Race director Christian Prudhomme said that the organisers wanted the race to remain undecided until the very end, with a succession of punishing mountain stages before the finale. The peloton will climb Alpe d'Huez twice in succession, first via its famous 21 hairpins on stage 19. Then again, the following day from Col de Serine after a 171-kilometre stage with 5,600 metres of elevation gain. Now, the race will enter France early through the Pyrenees with the first mountain test between Pau and Garvin-Guedre on stage 6, featuring the Col du Tourmalet. The route revisits several... And that wraps up World Today. In our top story, ASEAN steps up drive towards a digital economy framework agreement. Tune in to Malaysia Tonight, coming up at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM. I'm Mohana Priya, Malaysia Madani, Rakyat, Disantuni. Thank you for your company.